Scugog appoints Robert Rock as Ward 3 Councillor. Dan Kearns, Local Journalism Initiative reporter for The Standard, Scugog. Robert Rock has been chosen as the next Scugog Island representative on Township Council. At a special council meeting on Monday, August 9th, councillors heard from 5 candidates for the vacant Ward 3 councillor position. Those included Mr. Rock, Mark Gibbons, Bob Gilmore, former councillor Don Kett, and Donald McBay. The position had been vacant since now former councillor Angus Ross resigned in late June. Each candidate was given 5 minutes to introduce themselves and explain why they would be the best candidate to be appointed to the role. The councillors were able to each ask one question of each of the candidates. Mr. Rock is a Scugog Island Community Association executive and currently works in Scugog for Communicate Freely. He has also been an administrator of the Scugog Island Neighbours Facebook page. He also lives on Scugog Island. Every day on that Facebook page, I connect with people and I listen to their needs, their challenges, and also them sharing their successes, Mr. Rock said. During his speech, Mr. Rock explained he was encouraged by former Councillor Ross to put his hat in the ring for the position. When Councillor Ross stepped down, he phoned to encourage me to stand as his replacement. We had several conversations about major issues facing the ward and the township, he shared. Prior to the meeting, each candidate also had to provide the township with a 2-page letter explaining why they are the best candidate for the role. While Ward 3 would be my focus, I understand the need for balance, compromise, and negotiation when considering competing needs. Knowing when to speak up and knowing when to listen will contribute to my success on the council. I believe being respectful and transparent is required to appropriately interact with all the stakeholders. Not only knowing, but modeling and maintaining professionalism in all interactions, both positive and constructive, Mr. Rock's letter read. When the process moved to nominations, 2 names were approved. Ward 2 Councillor Janet Guido nominated Mr. Gibbons, and Regional Councillor Wilma Watton nominated Mr. Rock. Councillor Guido said Mr. Gibbons would be a voice of reason on council, and is someone who is always willing to understand other points of view. Councillor Watton said Mr. Rock is very well qualified for the role, and said Mr. Rock's conversation with former Councillor Angus Ross is a good indicator he is aware of some of the issues on the island. A recorded vote was held, and 5 out of 6 council members voted for Mr. Rock to be appointed to the role. Tornado touches down in Little Britain with devastating consequences. Sean Lackey, special to the Standard, Kawartha. For most of us, July 15th was just another summer day. But for the Stacey family in Little Britain, it was far from that. Life-changing, in fact. What started out as a routine day ended in shambles with the family farm and home torn to shreds, to the point it will need to be torn down completely. Caldwell banker RMR, realtor Carrie Stacey, was in her home with her son Owen when the madness hit. Here is Carrie's take on things. Owen saw the tornado coming, so I told him to go downstairs. I followed. He went to the far wall where we had practiced before, and I didn't make it down the stairs before the side wall of the house and chimney fell on me. I ended up head first with the chimney crushing my left ankle, back, and other parts. Owen came over once everything was done falling and dug me out, and he had to lift huge and heavy pieces from the chimney. After I could move myself out with his help, he called 911. Our neighbor, Aidan Quinn, came down the stairs with the roof caved in and saw my head bleeding. He kept putting paper towels on it and held my back straight with instructions from the 911 dispatcher. That guy helped me for probably over half an hour. The roads were totally blocked with trees. I will never be able to repay what Aidan did for my family and me. He will always be my hero. Even when I wanted to lie down because I was in so much pain, he held me tighter. They took me out of the basement window on my bathroom door, took me to Port Perry Lakeridge Hospital, where I got to see Sheena Glass Brown, who was awesome, and then they sent me to Sunnybrook Hospital Trauma Unit. I ended up with 4 broken vertebrae, L1 to L4 and L3. I also had a hematoma and was bleeding. The doctors were not sure if I would have to have surgery. My ankle was completely crushed. The doctors tried to reduce it 3 times to at least have it aligned the right way, but it wouldn't work. They ended up having to do surgery on it Friday night, July 16th at 8:30 p.m. The doctor told me he would have to put in a lot of plates, pins, and screws. After I read the operation report, he sure did, and it's aligned right. There is hopefully a good chance I won't have to have another surgery on it. Needless to say, Carrie suffered a life-threatening situation. She ended up with a hairline cut on her head that required 3 staples. She broke her transverse processes on vertebrae L1 to L4, 3 fractures on vertebrae L3, and a hematoma. Crushed ankle that required multiple screws and plates, a broken wrist, a baseball-sized lump on her right arm. Her right ankle was swollen like a football and very bruised, but fortunately no fractures, and lots of cuts and bruises. Family friends, Tonya and John Mason, organized the GoFundMe account, and to date it has raised almost $40,000 to help the Stacy family. But there is a long way to go. Carrie's rehab and the fact the home and the barn will need to be rebuilt from the ground up means some heavy expenses. They have insurance, sure, but that might not cover everything. When Steve went to the Emergency Relief Fund for tornadoes, he was told they didn't qualify because they weren't located in Barrie. That's a head-scratcher. The family is united in finding better times. Carrie is resolved to do what it takes to get better physically after this life-threatening situation. The community, as always, has been awesome. Small towns seem to have the ability to rally around their fallen friends. Little Britain is no exception. Here's to brighter times ahead for this family. The Stacy Family GoFundMe account is, all in lowercase letters, www.gofundme.com/f/please-help-stacy-family-after-tornado-strike. Help send local girl to Mexico for an international dance competition in 2022. Courtney McClure for The Standard. Kawartha Lakes, North Durham. A local teenager from Fenland Falls is competing with her dance team for the World Cup in an international dance competition hosted in Monterrey, Mexico. I was mostly in shock, but I was really excited, she said. I told everyone. Gia Power, 14, dances with the Port Perry Dance Academy. In her spare time, Gia is also a model for Harley G's in Port Perry. In the autumn, she is going into grade 10 at Fenland Falls Secondary School. Gia has been dancing since she was 3 years old and competitively since she was 7. She doesn't practice one specific type of dance. She does different kinds. Some of the styles she practices are tap, acro, and jazz. She's won many awards. On Saturday, July 30th, she danced on a live stage for the first time in 2 years. During this performance, Gia won 2 platinum awards for her performance. She is dancing with the CREO Dance Company, affiliated with Team Canada, and auditioned for the spot on the team in April. Gia found out she would be competing with Team Canada in Mexico. To watch her dance on the world stage representing her country makes me so incredibly proud of all of her hard work and dedication, stated Gia's mom, Tamara Power. According to Ms. Power, Team Canada is organizing the team's accommodations, so Gia must pay for a plane ticket, mandatory team apparel, and many other fees which go along with the competition. That's why Gia and her mom are asking for help from the community via the GoFundMe page labeled Help Jalaya Represent Canada 2022. Has a goal of $3,000. If you wish to support Gia by donating or sharing, you can check out the link here, www.gofundme.com/f/Jalaya-represent-Canada-in-2022. Harley G's in Port Perry is also accepting donations on Gia's behalf. Ms. Power and Gia are also accepting sponsorships for Gia if any companies are interested. They are offering receipts and sponsorship letters for anyone who needs them. You can contact Ms. Power by email at giasteamcanada@gmail.com. According to Ms. Power, Gia must also go to Brampton and the west end of the GTA every weekend for training. Since the family lives in Fenland Falls, this is about a 2.5-hour drive. Sometimes they must be in Brampton 5 days in a row, so Gia and Ms. Power need to pay for a hotel for a few nights, so they don't have to drive back and forth multiple times in 1 week. These training sessions are to prepare Gia for the competition in Mexico next year. Being committed, these costs can add up. On the bottom of the GoFundMe page, it says, if the event in Mexico gets postponed because of COVID-19, the funds will be banked until the rescheduled date. So anyone donating can rest assured their contribution will not be wasted.
Ontario Ministry finds Pinecrest Nursing Home failed to follow best infection control measures in 2020. Dan Kearns, Local Journalism Initiative reporter for The Standard. Kawartha Lakes. Pinecrest Nursing Home in Bobcaygeon was inspected by the Ministry of Long-Term Care in the summer of 2020 after a complaint was filed about the facility's infection control measures. In an inspection report recently found by The Standard, the ministry found the facility failed to comply with Ontario regulations regarding infection prevention and control, IPAC. A COVID-19 outbreak was declared at the facility in March of 2020 and saw 28 people die from COVID-19. Regarding physical distancing, the report states, on a specified date, 2 staff were observed sitting outside the home under a gazebo, within 2 feet of one another, and not maintaining the required 6-foot distance from each other or wearing masks. Later the same day, 2 staff were observed sitting in a car together, in the parking lot, both in the front seat and not physically distancing or wearing a mask, the report added. The inspectors also saw 2 residents sitting in the lounge in their wheelchairs within 3 feet of each other, and neither resident was wearing a mask. The home did not have enough staff to clean after the outbreak was declared at the facility last year. The licensee did not ensure adequate housekeeping staff were available in the home to complete the required cleaning and disinfection of environmental surfaces before and during their outbreak, the inspection report stated. The ministry found the home did not do enough to control the outbreak. Measures to prevent the transmission of infections include, but are not limited to, hand hygiene, cleaning and disinfection, surveillance, appropriate donning and doffing of personal protective equipment, PPE, cohorting residents, proper glove use and physical distancing. The licensee failed to ensure staff participated in implementing these measures to minimize or prevent the transmission of infections, the report found. As well, the ministry found the licensee failed to ensure that staff monitor symptoms of infection in residents on every shift in accordance with the evidence-based practices. A nursing shift report, provided as part of the investigation, indicated there were a number of residents who were exhibiting symptoms a number of days before they were placed in isolation, and before the suspected outbreak was reported to Haliburton-Kawartha Pine Ridge District Health Unit. Lastly, the ministry also concluded the licensee failed to make sure the information which was gathered on every shift about the residents' infections was analyzed daily to detect the presence of infection and reviewed at least monthly. The licensee of Pinecrest Nursing Home is MedLaw Corporation Limited. Janelle Whalen, the home's administrator, who took over from now retired administrator Mary Carr, provided the Standard with a statement on the matter. The last resident COVID-19 case at Pinecrest was in spring 2020. The health and safety of our residents and our staff remains our number one priority. We are taking every step necessary to prevent the virus from entering our home, the emailed statement read. Our standard protocol, when a resident exhibits any symptoms of COVID-19, is to immediately isolate the resident and perform a swab test. The resident will remain isolated until the results of the test are available. If the test comes back positive, public health is immediately notified, and the resident will remain isolated for the next 14 days. She added a list of measures the facility has taken since the start of the pandemic, including additional cleaning equipment and enhanced cleaning techniques, mandatory staff training and IPAC standards and protocols, a steady supply of personal protective equipment for staff members, and regular rapid surveillance testing of staff, caregivers, visitors, and support workers. Additionally, we have hired an Infection Prevention and Control IPAC registered nurse to oversee and implement all necessary IPAC measures in our home. We have also hired a physician medical director who is directly affiliated with the local hospital. We continue to work closely with Public Health and the Ministry of Health to ensure all correct protocols are followed and all necessary steps are taken to prevent COVID-19 from entering our home, the administrator's statement added. Pinecrest also participates in regular public health meetings with other nursing homes to discuss IPAC best practices. This is an ongoing process as part of our commitment to continuous improvement. HKPR provides an update on vaccination strategy and numbers. Dan Kearns, Local Journalism Initiative reporter for The Standard. Kawartha Lakes. The Haliburton, Kawartha Pine Ridge District Health Unit is starting to change how they provide COVID-19 vaccines to the public. Over the next few weeks, you will start to see fewer clinics at our fixed immunization clinic sites, local medical officer of health Dr. Natalie Bocking told reporters during a press conference on Wednesday, August 4th. You will start to see fewer clinics at those locations as we increase the number of mobile clinics we will make available. Ross Memorial Hospital recently announced they will be closing the drive-through vaccination clinic at the Lindsay Exhibition Grounds, LEX, on Friday, August 27th. Any individuals 12 or older with COVID-19 vaccination appointments booked for later than August 27th at the LEX need to move up their appointments or simply show up at the LEX on Monday to Friday between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. for their COVID-19 vaccination. No appointment needed, a press release from Ross Memorial Hospital explained. The press release added, individuals can visit ontario.ca/book-vaccine or call 1-833-943-3900 to move up their appointment. Since it opened in March, the Lindsay Exhibition site has seen almost 60,000 vaccinations administered. Ross Memorial Hospital is very proud of the role we have played in keeping our community safe through the pandemic. Our drive-through vaccination clinic has received overwhelming positive feedback from the community for its functionality and the outstanding efforts of our hard-working staff. The expertise, care, and compassion they deliver at the LEX during this historic effort is truly something to celebrate. Ross Memorial Hospital wants to thank every person who attended our drive-through vaccination clinic for doing their part to keep our community safe and healthy. Ross Memorial Hospital CEO Kelly Isfan said in a statement. The hospital will be running pop-up vaccination clinics across Kawartha Lakes. On Wednesday, August 11th, there will be one at the Bolsover Community Center from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. and the Norland Recreation Center from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. On Thursday, August 12th, these clinics will be held at the Kinmount Community Center from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. and the Badow Community Center from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. The Manvers Community Center will be the next stop for these pop-up clinics on Friday, August 13th from 10 a.m. until noon. The health unit has been seeing small increases in the number of youth and young adults getting vaccinated. I think it's reassuring that it's continuing to increase, but we're still seeing a significant difference between vaccination coverage among youth and younger adults as compared to older age cohorts, Dr. Bocking explained. As the calendar moves closer to autumn, Dr. Bocking is concerned about the possibility of a fourth wave of COVID-19. I think, at this point in time, we should expect a resurgence of COVID-19 activity. I think there are things we could be doing right now, such as vaccination, which will determine what the impact of the resurgence will look like. I know our team's already looking at this and how we will be able to respond. If it's similar to what the third wave looked like, or worse, then I think we can be concerned and should be prioritizing what we can do now in order to prevent that resurgence as much as we can in the autumn, Dr. Bocking stated.
The Standard podcast was produced by Greenstream Studio for the Standard newspaper.